I didn't want to do it at first, and they'd been after me to do one for about 2 years. And I thought, well, you know, there's going to be 22,000 people there, so we can throw in some new songs maybe and everything. But as it turned out, we didn't. We played all old songs, and they just sort of stared at us. And it was a strange experience, really. It was about 6 months ago.
The world stood still on New Year's Eve, 1985. A 1944 Douglas DC-3, a vintage plane once owned by Jerry Lee Lewis, plummeted into a Texas cow pasture, trailing thick black smoke. Inside was Ricky Nelson, the golden boy of the 1950s, his fiancée, and his band. At just 45, the man who once rivaled Elvis was gone. But the tragedy didn't end in the flames. As the smoke cleared, a different kind of wreckage emerged: his finances. Everyone thought Ricky was broke. His divorce had cost $1 million, he was drowning in debt, and it looked like his 4 children would inherit nothing but bills. But a hidden will and a shocking discovery by lawyers turned a story of ruin into a multi-million-dollar legacy. This is the untold story of Ricky Nelson's rise, fall, and the massive settlement that changed everything, right here on Prestige Buzz. A scripted childhood. Ricky Nelson didn't just grow up in Hollywood, he was born into its very machinery. Born May 8, 1940, to bandleader Ozzie Nelson and actress Harriet Hilliard, Ricky's life was public before he could even talk. By age 8, he was starring as himself on the radio hit The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. While other kids were playing ball, Ricky was memorizing scripts. His playground was a soundstage, his family dinners were often rehearsals. Even their home at 1822 Camino Palmero became the most famous facade in America. But inside, it was a business run by his father with military precision. Ricky struggled with severe asthma, often trapped indoors listening to music while the world watched his perfect life on screen. This isolation bred a quiet intensity that would later make him a superstar. The teen idol explosion. In 1957, at age 17, Ricky performed Fats Domino's on Walkin' on the family TV show. The response was a seismic shift in pop culture. The single sold 1 million copies overnight. Ricky wasn't just a TV kid anymore, he was a rock and roll juggernaut. Ozzie Nelson, a marketing genius, began ending every episode with a musical performance. It was the birth of the music video, reaching 10 million viewers weekly. Between 1957 and 1962, Ricky placed 20 songs in the top 40. His hit Poor Little Fool became the first ever #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, a title he holds for eternity. Yet, as the money rolled in, Ricky saw little of it. Ozzie kept him on a strict allowance, controlling his finances and his love life. Behind the squeaky clean image, Ricky was rebelling: fast cars, secret romances, and a growing frustration with being treated like a puppet. The wedding and the wreckage. In 1961, Ricky met Chris Harmon, daughter of football legend Tom Harmon. On paper, they were Hollywood royalty. In reality, it was a shotgun wedding driven by pregnancy and social pressure. They married in 1963, but the fairy tale was a financial black hole. Chris had a taste for luxury that Ricky's cooling career couldn't sustain. As the British invasion led by the Beatles pushed 1950s idols aside, Ricky's income plummeted. Yet, the spending didn't. They bought Errol Flynn's old mansion, staffed it with servants, and lived a life of high society glamour while the bank accounts bled dry. By the late 70s, the marriage was a battlefield. The ensuing divorce was one of Hollywood's ugliest, costing over $1 million in legal fees alone. Rick, who dropped the Y to sound more mature, was forced to tour relentlessly just to cover $4,000 a month in child support. The Garden Party Defiance. Desperate to evolve, Rick formed the Stone Canyon Band, pioneering a country rock sound. But fans only wanted the old Ricky. In 1971, at Madison Square Garden, he was booed off stage for playing new material. Heartbroken but inspired, he wrote Garden Party. The lyrics, "You can't please everyone, so you got to please yourself," struck a chord, becoming his first top 10 hit in a decade. It was a brief flash of brilliance before the darkness returned. By 1985, he was playing amusement parks and county fairs just to stay afloat. The final flight. Rick hated flying, but he hated the cost of a tour bus more. He bought the used DC-3 despite warnings from his band that the engines were failing. On December 31, 1985, en route to a New Year's Eve gig in Dallas, a faulty heater reportedly sparked a fire in the cabin. The pilot survived by jumping out the cockpit windows, but Rick and 6 others were consumed by the flames. At the time of his death, his estate was reportedly $1 million in the red. If you're finding this deep dive into music history fascinating, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Prestige Buzz, and hit that bell notification so you never miss a story. The Secret Fortune and the Son Left Behind. The battle for Rick's estate was immediate and vicious. His ex-wife Chris moved to take control, but Rick's brother David produced a will written just 4 months before the crash. It named his 4 children, Tracy, Gunnar, Matthew, and Sam, as the sole heirs. However, there was a 5th son, Eric Jude Crew, born from a brief affair in 1980. Though blood tests proved paternity, Rick's will explicitly disputed it and left Eric nothing. Despite years of legal challenges, the court upheld the will. Eric remained the son who got nothing. For years, it seemed the 4 heirs had inherited a hollow shell. But then, the lawyers started digging into the record labels. The landmark settlements. It turned out Rick hadn't been broke, he had been robbed. For decades, record companies had used accounting tricks to siphon off his royalties. The 2011 Capitol Records suit, the estate sued for $100 million, alleging the label used breakage fees, meant for physical vinyl, to deduct money from digital downloads. They settled for a massive, undisclosed sum. The 2020 Sony music suit, lawyers discovered Sony was charging intercompany fees on international streaming, eating up 68% of Rick's royalties before the family saw a cent. The settlement was historic, $12.7 million in back pay and a 36% increase in future streaming royalties. Today, Ricky Nelson's children are millionaires many times over. The boy who was forced to grow up on camera, who lost his life trying to pay off debts, finally got his justice. His music continues to stream by the millions, proving that while you can't please everyone, true talent eventually pays its dues. What do you think of the judge's decision regarding Rick's 5th son? Let us know in the comments below. For more incredible biographies and untold stories, stay tuned to Prestige Buzz.